Guilty or not guilty? A group of paranormal investigators acts as the jury in this spirit trespassing case. They're taking a look at the Kittilstad County Courthouse, and just in time for Halloween. Jacob Kittilstad follows a haunting hunch this Mystery Monday.
It's the Central Mississippi Firearms, owned by Doyle Goss. He's one of the founding members of CPR.
And in this case, CPR stands for Central Paranormal Research.
It's more of a whisper.
Its planning headquarters, for now, is run out of this gun shop in Kosciuszko, where members continue reviewing audio.
Electronic voice phenomenon, and we got an audible grunt that came right by it, which is that one there, real short.
Yeah, this was a big one, especially being our hometown.
Which is also home to the Kittilstad County Courthouse.
We have lived there all our lives, and you've heard so many stories about it that we started researching and found out there was really a lot more history to it than we knew of. And there was 3 murders inside the courthouse.
But maybe one of the most dramatic stories out of the courthouse happened right here in this window.
Thomas Clark, state senator, was sitting on that window ledge with a group of his friends, shooting sparrows out of a tree. When he stepped up on the ledge to get a better shot, and he fell and hit the front porch of the courthouse.
That was in 1898.
I'd like to talk to you.
So, in 2014, when the group got approval for an overnight investigation, they went for it.
I'd like to know if you got any stories to tell, any messages to send.
We had some infrared cameras we had set up that did recording, K2s, and a lot of voice recorders.
You can just see somebody walking behind you. You turn around, there's never anybody there.
There's a basement in there which got some EVPs from. The night before we had talked about, is anybody going to go up in there and kind of joking around with it, and I was like, I'll go in there, I don't have a problem with it. So I did ask a bunch of different questions, and one of the questions was, if there's somebody here, can you make a noise? And about 5 or 6 seconds after that, I heard some banging on some pipes, is what it sounded like.
This was also captured in the basement.
But some of the most compelling footage captured is what members say looks like an orb floating the length of a hallway that's said to be haunted.
Fingers right in front of it.
I personally believe, yes, there is something there. That's as far as concrete proof, I don't think anybody anywhere has concrete proof, or we wouldn't all be out here trying to gather the concrete proof.
Exploring the unexplained this Mystery Monday, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
Now, a few employees who did not want their names revealed said they've also had experience with so-called spirits, saying voices can sometimes be heard when no one is around, and paperwork can blow off desks without any wind entering the room. Across the glassy water of the Ross Barnett Reservoir, a small island has a lone inhabitant. An old goat keeps watch as boats pass by. News cameras have only caught his image once and from afar. Jacob Kittilstad returns to Goat Island this Mystery Monday.
Never has a ride on a puttering pontoon boat felt more like an adventure, complete with a crew of salty dogs and a map to sights unseen past the Causeway Bridge.
I guess look for Forest Point Park right here, and right past Forest Point Park you take a right.
Our captain is Chris Campbell, who's navigated these waters before. Destination, Goat Island.
I would guesstimate it's probably 2 acres, heavily wooded. Not much brush growing on it because of the goats. One that I know of for sure. There could be others. And you don't know because they just kind of appear magically every once in a while. Yeah, they're curious. They want to see what's going on. Just like this one is right here. He's curious. He's looking at us coming in. About 6-inch long horns, solid white, a little bit of brown, I guess.
Of the people I've spoken to, no one knows who put them there. And wildlife officials aren't allowed to move them once they are there. So I'm going to try to make friends with the animal the only way I know how. Straight up bribery.
Mr. Goat. It's good. You don't like celery?
Forget this.
You like lettuce? What?
He's not eating what I'm giving him. How does he even survive out here? The answer, coming courtesy Pickett Farms and Terry, is foraging.
We've been farming this farm 3 generations, but we've been goat farming about 3 years.
3 years really doesn't sound like a long time, but Charles Pickett says sometimes he has up to 10,000 goats on his property. He identified our island friend as a Spanish goat, one with a good lifespan.
7 to 10 years if they don't run into problems. Spanish goat are hardy goats. They get along with just about any type of land, any kind of weather. Like I say, the biggest thing with the goat is to keep them worm-free, and that's just pasture rotation.
It's okay, girl. The guys that do the gator hunting, they're pretty good. If somebody sees one big enough to tackle that goat, he ain't gonna be in there long.
And even though they weren't the ones responsible, Campbell says some neighbors regularly drop off extra food. I found this campfire circle made by visitors who may have also dropped off this culvert playground. Although the question remains, how'd he get here?
Easy, hush.
He's pretty much been accepted, but maybe not completely by the crew members.
And the dogs can, I guess they smell them long before we get there. They just don't understand why they can't go after every bird or goat or any other creature that we find around. They don't understand why they can't hop off and run him down.
Exploring the unexplained this Mystery Monday, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
Cute dogs. I tell you, that was a cute story. A few months ago, a minor was arrested for the killing of a goat on Goat Island. Neighbors say although the goat's now alone, he appears to be doing fine. Welcome back. If it was the 1800s and you knew someone important, you might use the saying, he's just not any whistling dick. Well, that term meant simple and average. But in Vicksburg, it was the name of a cannon that vanished. Jacob Kittilstad goes on the search this Mystery Monday.
Cannons are percussion. For Civil War reenactors at historic Jefferson College right outside of Natchez.
This is an 1841 smoothbore field artillery piece, 6-pounder. And this one have an effective range of about 1,400 yards.
Mike McGuffey's been firing artillery
Fire in the hole!
and testing this tube for a long time. But as a cannon man, he's heard one story more than others about a gun that's twice as big.
Well, Whistling Dick was a famous gun at Vicksburg.
His reputation probably preceded it.
Meet Danny Harrelson, a well-read researcher with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Whistling Dick was a very famous cannon that was recognized by the federal troops and the federal sailors that were sailing in the ironclads in front of the river we have behind us. The rifling in here, you can see this right here. The rifling was not perfect projectile that came out of the cannon. It tumbled and it made a large shrieking sound, a whistling sound that the Federals absolutely were terrified of.
That's right. It sounded exactly like a cartoon. Something like Looney Tunes. I mean, can you believe that? But in this case, there's no Wile E. Coyote. People actually died.
And that's why this cannon was considered a war trophy for federal troops. For 96 years, it stayed in West Point at the U.S. Military Academy until there was a problem. Someone figured out it wasn't Whistling Dick.
This cannon was mistaken for Whistling Dick for a couple of reasons. One is it has a very similar silhouette to Whistling Dick.
Two, the Confederates somehow pulled a switcheroo. A Methodist preacher of the time did confess to dumping it in the Mississippi River so it would never fall into Union hands.
Was it dumped in the Mississippi River? We have issues with the tasking of loading this thing onto a barge, paddling this into a river under the cover of darkness, surrounded by federal troops, and dumping this into the river without the barge turning over. Notice the caves right here. We think that Whistling Dick was intentionally hidden in a Lurse cave. That is one of our alternative hypotheses about where Whistling Dick ended up.
The real dream of a reenactor and a Civil War enthusiast is to find artifacts, and to find a cannon tube would just be an unbelievable experience, especially if you found the Whistling Dick. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen, though.
Maybe. But then again, I was pretty sure they'd never let just any Whistling Dick fire a cannon. Exploring the unexplained in Adams County, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
Oh, that Jacob. So if you're wondering where it might be, if it's underground in a cave, researchers say it's probably near Wyman's Hill. And if it was dumped, it's most likely in what's now Centennial Lake.